So we can do that very easily. Question? Yeah, please. Yes, yes, sir.
I've spoken with some economists about your proposal for tariffs, and they say they don't see how it will not make items cost more in the United States.
They'll approve it. They'll approve it. And number one, I don't need them. I don't need Congress, but they'll approve it. I'll have the right to impose them myself if they don't. I'd rather get their support. The ones that understand business all support it. I think David would be a very big supporter of the tariffs because you understand what's happening, right? David's a great business person, led a great company. No, the ones that understand business, they understand. You know, I'll give you an example. China will charge us, and it's not only China. I hate to keep using China because it's everyone. The European Union is a disaster for you also, by the way. They don't want your farm product. They don't want our cars. They don't want anything, and yet they sell tremendous amounts of Mercedes-Benzes, and they sell cars to us, but they don't want our cars. They don't want our farm product at all. They don't want it, but they sell farm product to us. And we have a tremendous deficit. And I had them shaped up real good, but they've gotten out of control. They're really out of control. And Mexico's out of control, to be honest with you. They're taking a lot of our companies in the last couple of years, and companies are moving down to Mexico. They don't know that if I come in, it's not going to work out too well for them because they're not going to be able to sell their product into the United States. They're going to have to pay a price, which will make it uncompetitive for them to do that. So we are going to do a real job. We need the support of Pennsylvania. It's a very important state, and she is not going to be good to Pennsylvania between pricing and energy. You know, they started off knocking the hell out of the energy that I had. I had it going at a level. We were number 3 and probably number 4, and by the time I left, we were far and away number 1, ahead of Saudi Arabia, ahead of Russia. And then they cut. When they came in, they started cutting, and then prices started going through the roof at the beginning. And what they did is, let's go back to what Trump was doing. We got to go back. And they opened up the stuff that they were cutting, and it was a similar amount. But what they don't say is that we would be at least 3 to 4 times more production of energy right now, and your prices would never be what they are because you can't compete when you have to pay that much for energy. So they didn't do their job. And by the way, if they won, you could forget about it. They want to go to all-electric cars. How's that going to work? They don't go far. They're too expensive. They're made in China. And on day one, I end the all-electric mandate. And I'm a fan of electric cars. Elon Musk, frankly, gave me the most beautiful endorsement. He endorses me all the time. He says, this is the only guy that's going to save our country. He's been very generous. And I think he makes an unbelievable product. But you have to be able to also sell gasoline-powered cars. You know, we have gasoline, and they want to use something that we don't have, but China has, because for the batteries and everything, China has and controls that market. But the problem is they don't go far, and they have other problems, like if it's cold, you get a little bit cold up here, they don't work too well in the cold. There are a lot of problems, and a lot of assets, too. And he's going to do great. His car is fantastic, but you have to be able to have other types, like hybrids. Hybrids are, good. It's a good thing. You have to be able to do that. So I'm going to end that mandate. Can you imagine? They want to almost immediately go to all electric. And we don't have enough electric to take care of ourselves. You go to California, they have blackouts and brownouts every single day. California's a mess. They have the governor of California, Gavin Newsom. Has anybody ever heard of him? But worse, they had an attorney general and a DA who destroyed San Francisco and then destroyed California. And I hate to say, because I have a lot of land in California, I hate to speak badly about places, but frankly, my presidency is much more important than my land. Isn't it nice to know? With Biden, it's the other way around. But my presidency is much more important than my land or my business. And I will say it, California is getting hurt so badly. She destroyed San Francisco, absolutely destroyed San Francisco, and now she wants to destroy our country. She was a horrible attorney general. You could steal $950 worth of merchandise for a store and you wouldn't get prosecuted. But anything above that, you wouldn't get prosecuted either. She was a horrible attorney general. She was a horrible DA. She was a DA of San Francisco. That was the beginning of the end. San Francisco was possibly the best city in our country 15, 18 years ago. and now it's not livable. We're going to bring them all back. We're going to bring the cities back, but it's not even livable. So Pennsylvania is a very important place, and it's, I went to school here. I went to college here, as you know, and it's a great place. It's a fabulous place. It's the Commonwealth, and we're going to make you very happy. All of those things that we talked about are very easily solvable with you. That's such an easy, that can be done in one day. I had a cabinet maker. He said, sir, China and South Korea are dropping cabinets into our country for nothing, and I can't compete. And I studied it, and I ended up putting a 50 or 75% tariff on all cabinets coming into the country. And I didn't know the guy. I met him previous to going in to the presidency. And I saw him 4 years later. He said, sir, you saved my business. You saved the job. I expanded. They stopped with the dumping. And the steel, the same thing. I think the steel people like me the best. Unfortunately, Biden's let it go. I put tariff. They were dumping Chinese steel into our country, David, at levels that nobody's ever seen before. We've never seen anything like it. And I put a 50% tariff on all steel coming in from China and some other places too, but all steel. And we saved these companies, but Biden has let it go. And we need steel. Look, there are some things you could get from outside. But if we're in a war and we need army tanks and we need ships and we need other things that happen to be made of steel, what are we going to do? Go to China and get the steel? We're fighting China, but do you mind they're selling us some steel? Think of it. These people don't know what they're doing. So I put big tariffs on steel. They were dumping steel, and it was bad steel, too. It was rotted steel, bad steel. It was imperfect steel. People were building girders for buildings, and they check them, and they're not good. The steel wasn't good. But they were dumping at tremendous levels, and I ended the dumping of steel. But these people, since they took over this U.S. Steel, I would not allow that deal to happen. U.S. Steel, this was one of the greatest companies in the world. You go back 70 years, this was the big deal. United States Steel, and now they're going to let the Japanese buy it? I wouldn't let it happen. I'd help them so they can make the steel company good again. This was the biggest company in the world, the strongest company, had the biggest reputation. It represented our country, and now we're selling it to the Japanese. The psychology of that is unacceptable to me. So I wouldn't let that deal happen personally, but we'll see what happens. I hope it's going to be I hope it won't have closed by the time I get there, but I would not let that deal happen. And you're right, they have other things. You look at China, they're opening up coal plants. Every week they're doing a big coal plant. And John Kerry, I watch this poor guy. This guy, it's so pathetic. He flies over in his own jet. His wife has some money from a certain family, right? Right? And he's got a little jet. He flies over to China. He sees President Xi. Oh, yes, I will consider this very strongly. I will consider your request to stop building coal plants. And then he leaves. And he comes back. Oh, I had a good conversation. Nothing gets done. They're building coal plants. He had zero impact. But we don't build anything here. And what people don't understand is all that pollution in China, all the pollution everywhere in the world, much of it flies right over the United States, takes 3.5 days, comes in from China, and it's sometimes bad, and it flies right over the United States. So what are we going to do about that? But nobody ever discusses that. They don't want to talk about that. So we'll be nice and clean. Same thing with the oceans. You take a look, the Pacific, it flies in from, they dump it right in the ocean, and in about a week and a half, it's in, welcome to Los Angeles, California, and we're lifting it out of the ocean all day long. We have, it's a massive, big business. We're taking their garbage out of the ocean because it floats right to our West Coast, and other countries too. So it sounds bleak, but we'll get it all straightened out, and we'll get it straightened out fast. And I just want to thank Lee, and I want to thank everybody here. I'll tell you, Rick Grinnell has been amazing with me from just about the beginning. He was the ambassador to Germany, and there was no happier woman in the world than Angela Merkel when I announced that I was taking Rick back to Washington and giving him an even higher position. This was the happiest woman in the world when she heard he was leaving Germany. And actually, in a certain way, she liked him, but in another way, he was sort of brutal because he understood what Germany was doing to the United States, one of the many countries that took advantage of the United States, and he got it. So I want to thank you, and you did a great job, and we appreciate it. And hopefully you'll be able to do a great job again. Thank you very much, Rick, and thank you, Lee.